Today we're going to be reading chapter 4 of The Breadwinner. It was very late by the time Parvana and her mother returned home from the prison. Parvana was so tired, she had to lean up against Mother to make it up the stairs, the way Father used to lean against her. She had stopped thinking of anything but the pain that seemed to be in every part of her body, from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet. Her feet burned and stung with every step. When she took off her sandals, she could see why. Her feet, unused to walking such long distances, were covered with blisters. Most of the blisters had broken, and her feet were bloody and raw. Noria and Miriam's eyes widened when they saw the mess of Parvana's feet. They grew wider still when they saw their mother's feet. They were even more torn up and bloody than Parvana's. Parvana realized that Mother hadn't been out of the house since the Taliban had taken over Kabul a year and a half before. She could have gone out. She had a burqa, and Father would have gone with her any time she wanted. Many husbands happy to make their wives stay home, but not Father. "Fatana, you are a writer," he often said. "You must come out into the city and see what is happening. Otherwise, how will you know what to write about?" "Who would read what I write? Am I allowed to publish? No. Then what is the point of writing? And what is the point of looking? Besides, it will not be long. The Afghan people are smart and strong. They will kick these Taliban out. When that happens, when we have a decent government in Afghanistan, then I will go out again. Until then, I will stay here." "It takes work to make a decent government," Father said. "You are a writer. You must do your work." "If we had left Afghanistan when we had the chance, I could be doing my work. We are Afghans. This is our home. If all the educated people leave, who will rebuild the country?" It was an argument Parvana's parents had often. When the whole family lived in one room, there were no secrets. Mother's feet were so bad from the long walk that she could barely make it into the room. Parvana had been so preoccupied with her own pain and exhaustion, she hadn't given any thought to what her mother had been going through. Noria tried to help, but Mother just waved her away. She threw her burqa on the floor. Her face was stained with tears and sweat. She collapsed onto the toshak where Father had taken his nap just yesterday. Mother cried for a long, long time. Noria sponged off part of the face that wasn't buried into the pillow. She washed the dust from the wounds in her mother's feet. Mother acted if Noria wasn't there at all. Finally, Noria spread a light blanket over her. It was a long time before the sobs stopped and Mother fell asleep. While Noria tried to look after Mother, Miriam looked after Parvana. Biting her tongue in concentration, she carried a basin of water over to where Parvana was sitting. She didn't spill a drop. She wiped Parvana's face with a cloth she wasn't quite able to wring out. Drips from the cloth ran down Parvana's neck. The water felt so good. She soaked her feet in the basin, and that felt good too. She sat with her feet in the basin while Noria got supper. "They wouldn't tell us anything about Father," Parvana told her sister. "What are we going to do? How are we going to find him?" Noria started to say something, but Parvana didn't really catch what that was. She began to feel heavy. Her eyes started to close, and the next thing she knew, it was morning. Parvana could hear the morning meal being prepared. I should get up and help, she thought, but she couldn't bring herself to move. All night long, she had drifted in and out of dreams about the soldiers. They were screaming at her and hitting her. In her dream, she shouted at them to release her father, but no sound came from her lips. She had even shouted, "I am Malali! I am Malali!" But the soldiers paid no attention. The worst part of the dream was seeing Mother beaten. It was as if Parvana was watching it happen from far, far away and couldn't get to her to help her up. Parvana suddenly sat up, then relaxed again when she saw her mother on the toshak on the side of the room. It was all right. Mother was here. "I'll help you to the washroom," Nuria offered. "I don't need any help," Parvana said. However, when she tried to stand, the pain in her feet was very bad. It was easier to accept Nuria's offer and lean on her across the room to the washroom. "Everybody leans on everybody in this family," Parvana said. "Is that right?" Nuria asked. "And who do I lean on?" That was such a Nuria-like comment that Parvana immediately felt a little bit better. Nuria being grumpy meant that things were getting back to normal. She felt better still after she'd washed her face and tidied her hair. There was cold rice and hot tea waiting when she had finished. "Mother, would you like some breakfast?" Nuria gently shook their mother. Mother moaned, "Ugh, a little," and shrugged Nuria away. Except for trips to the washroom and a couple of cups of tea, which Nuria kept in a thermos by the toshak, Mother spent the day lying down. She kept her face to the wall and didn't speak to any of them. The next day, Parvana was tired of sleeping. Her feet were still sore, but she played with Allie and Miriam. The little ones, especially Allie, couldn't understand why Mother wasn't paying attention to them. "Mother's sleeping," Parvana kept saying. "When will she wake up?" Miriam asked. Parvana didn't answer. Allie kept waddling over to the door and pointing up at it. "I think he's asking where Father is," Nuria said. "Come on, Allie, let's find your ball." Parvana remembered the pieces of the photograph and got them out. Her father's face was like a jigsaw puzzle. She spread the pieces out on the mat in front of her. Miriam joined her and helped her put them in order. One piece was missing. All of Father's face was there, except for a part of his chin. "When we get some tape, we'll tape it together," Parvana said. Miriam nodded. She gathered up the little pieces into a tidy pile and handed them to Parvana. Parvana tucked them away in the corner of the cupboard. The third day barely creeped along. Parvana even considered doing some housework, just to pass the time, but she was worried she might disturb her mother. At one point, all 4 children sat against the wall and watched their mother sleep. "She has to get up soon," Nuria said. "She can't just lie there forever." Parvana was tired of sitting. She had lived in a room for a year and a half, but there had always been chores to do and trips to the market with her father. Mother was still in the same place. They were taking care not to disturb her. All the same, Parvana thought if she had to spend much more time whispering and keeping the young ones quiet, she would scream. It would help if she could read, but the only books they had were Father's secret books. She didn't dare take them out of their hiding place. What if the Taliban burst in again? They'd take the books and maybe punish the whole family for having them. Parvana noticed a change in Ali. "Is he sick?" asked Nuria. "He misses Mother." Ali sat in Nuria's lap. He didn't crawl around anymore when he was put on the floor. He spent most of the time curled into a ball with his thumb in his mouth. He didn't even cry very much anymore. It was nice to have a break from his noise, but Parvana didn't like to see him like this. The room began to smell too. We have to save water, Nuria said, so washing and cleaning didn't get done. Allie's dirty diapers were piled in a heap in the washing room. The little window didn't open very far, so no breeze could get into the room to blow the stink away. On the fourth day, the food ran out. We're out of food, Nuria told Parvana. Don't tell me, tell Mother. She's the grown-up. She has to get us some. I don't want to bother her. Then I'll tell her. Parvana went over to Mother's toshak and gently shook her. We're out of food. There was no response. Mother, there's no food left. Mother pulled away. Parvana started to shake her again. Leave her alone, Nuria yanked her away. Can't you see she's depressed? We're all depressed, Parvana replied. We're also hungry. She wanted to shout, but didn't want to frighten the little ones. She could glare, though. And she and Nuria glared at each other for hours. That's a glare. No one ate that day. We're out of food, Nuria said again to Parvana the next day. I'm not going out there. You have to. There's no one else who can go. My feet are still sore. Your feet will survive, but we won't if you don't get us food. Now move. Parvana looked at her mother, still lying on the toshak. She looked at Allie, worn out from being hungry and needing his parents. She looked at Miriam, whose cheeks were already beginning to hollow, and who hadn't been in the sunshine in a very long time. Finally, she looked at her big sister, Nuria. Nuria looked terrified. If Parvana didn't obey her, she would have to go get food for herself. Now I've got her, Parvana thought. I could make her as miserable as she makes me. But she was surprised to find that this thought gave her no pleasure. Maybe she was too tired and too hungry. Instead of turning her back, she took the money from her sister's hand. What should I buy? She asked. And that is the end of chapter 4.